So sometimes you want a really great meal, but don't want to put that much effort in and don't have that much time, but want it to look impressive. So I have a dish for you today. Today I'm going to make for you my butternut squash ravioli with sage butter sauce. It sounds amazing. It sounds like it takes a lot of effort, but it is very quick and it's really easy, especially if you buy fresh ravioli. Then it takes under 15 minutes to make this. If you have dried ravioli, then it takes under a half hour. So let's come along and make this dish with me. So to make our super easy, super delicious butternut squash ravioli, I'm going to this time use the fresh ravioli, and this is found in the refrigerated aisle, and it takes only 4 minutes to cook. So this is really fast, and while the raviolis are cooking, we're going to make our delicious sauce. So first I have in a pot of water, I have some water boiling, and once the water comes to a boil, I'm going to add the ravioli and then cook it for about 3 to 4 minutes until they're nice and tender, and then we're going to put them into a really delicious brown butter, olive oil, sage infused and garlic infused sauce. So let's go ahead and cook the ravioli, and then I'm going to show you how to make the sauce. Okay, the water has come to a rolling boil, so I'm going to go ahead and add my ravioli. Now I've salted the water a little bit so that that pasta dough gets nice and infused and flavorful. Now, even though the temperature outside may say it's 100 degrees, but it is fall, and so when it's fall, I love making things with fall flavors, and nothing says fall than butternut squash and sage. So this house smells incredible. So we're gonna cook these, and this is 2 packets. It's going to serve 4 to 6. So you can make 1 package, and again, like I said, you can use dry ravioli, no problem. It's just that it will take a little bit longer to cook. This one, the packet says 3 minutes. I usually do 4, so that it's nice and well cooked. So we're gonna put the timer on, cook this for 4 minutes, and meanwhile, we're gonna check on our sauce and see how that's coming. So to start our sauce, we're going to infuse our olive oil with some garlic. And so I know it looks like a lot of garlic, but I'm going to take the garlic out before I make the sauce. But I just need that much garlic to infuse the olive oil really well. So here I have sliced the garlic, and what I'm going to do is take the slices and then put it in hot olive oil, and then once they're nice and toasty brown, I'm going to take them out and then use some for other things, and then use the rest to sprinkle up on top. So here I have a heavy bottom pan, and I'm going to add some olive oil. So I have a nice heavy bottom pan here, and I'm going to add about 3 spoons of olive oil. So it's about nice 3 teaspoons of olive oil. Kind of eyeball it. Unless you're baking, you can really pretty much eyeball cooking. A little bit here or there will just make the food more interesting. All right, so I'm going to let these garlic cloves get nice and brown in the oil, and then we're going to take them out and then use the flavored oil for our dish. You can also use this flavored oil for garlic bread. It makes an amazing garlic bread. So you can use garlic oil for lots of different things. When you're making red pasta, again, this is a great use of garlic, and especially if you don't like too much garlic but want that like hint of garlic, then making garlic oil is definitely worth it. And then when I take the garlic slices out. I can crumble them and make a dipping oil, or I can also use it for garlic bread. So there's lots of different uses. So let's go ahead and cook these slices in olive oil until they're nice and brown, golden brown. Also, I'm going to tell you, this is not a time to walk away. Garlic can burn very quickly, and we don't want burnt garlic. That tastes bitter, and then you're ruined not only the garlic, but even the oil. So we're just going to stand right here. It takes about a minute. That's it. So just be patient and watch garlic do its magic. So that oil is going to get really nice and infused with garlic flavor, and we'll have some nice garnish for our pasta. And I may even use some for like garlic bread. All right, the garlic has browned nicely, so I'm gonna turn off the olive oil and then take out my garlic slices. So now that oil has been infused with a really nice garlic flavor, and like I said, you can use that oil for many different things. Today we're going to use it to make our butternut squash ravioli with sage butter and olive oil. Right. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out, and then I'll use a little bit for garnish and the rest of it for garlic bread. So here are our garlic slices, and you want this color. It's perfectly golden brown, and that's the color we want. Now, while the oil is still here, I'm going to go ahead and fry my sage leaves. So here I have a bunch of sage leaves, and sage goes so well with any kind of squash or sweet potatoes. It's totally worth getting this for this dish, because there's no other heavy sauce or anything. It's just ravioli with the brown butter on top of it. Our brown butter olive oil is our sauce, so it's totally worth getting the sage for this dish, and I highly recommend getting fresh sage. So I was able to find really good sage. I washed it. Now before frying it, I want to make sure I thoroughly dry it so the oil doesn't splatter. So let's go ahead and dry the leaves, and then we're going to fry it in the garlic oil. So here are my sage leaves, all nice and washed and dried. Now for this dish, I don't need so many sage leaves, but because I already had the bunch, I'm gonna go ahead and fry all of them, and then I can use whatever is remaining after using it for my dish, just as, put it in the dipping oil, or just as a garnish to anything else. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fry it since I already have the garlic oil already done. But you only need about 4 or 5 nice sized sage leaves. Okay, so my oil is getting nice and hot. I'm gonna add one to just look, and it takes about 10 seconds. Then you don't need more than 10 seconds. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the rest. And this dish is so easy because today I'm going to be using the fresh ravioli. The ravioli cooks in 4 minutes, and this sauce comes together in about 5 minutes. So under 15 minutes, because you can cook the ravioli and make the sauce at the same time. So under 15 minutes, you have a delicious gourmet restaurant style meal that is so yummy. So please definitely make this, because it's really easy. You don't need any special equipment. The only thing I would say in special ingredients you need are the sage leaves, and it's worth getting it. If you absolutely cannot find it, then it's not a deal breaker, because the raviolis themselves are pretty flavorful. But if you can find the sage leaves, that's going to just make the dish just unbelievably tasty. All right, I'm gonna fry these for about 10-20 seconds, and then I'll show you what it should look like. So this is the texture of the sage leaves you want. You want it like to be fried. Now today it's taking a little bit longer because I'm not deep frying it. I'm just kind of sauteing it in a little bit of olive oil. So it's taking about 30 seconds instead of if I was just plunging it, if I was deep frying the sage. I don't use sage that often, only when I make something with like a sweet potato or squash. And then Thanksgiving, I use it quite a bit when I'm making stuffing. So when Thanksgiving comes and I make stuffing for you guys, you'll see how I use the sage. Sage has such an amazing flavor, and it's just unbelievable when you're making stuffing. Okay, so 10 more seconds, and you want everything to be like this. You don't want it black. You want it like this color and this texture. And it will just get nice and crispy, and it's done. And that's it. So now our oil has not only been flavored with all that garlic, but it has also been flavored with sage. So it's ready to add our butter and then our ravioli. And here is our fried sage and our fried garlic chips. And now I'm going to show you how to make the brown butter olive oil sauce. And basically it's just melting some melting some butter in the olive oil and just let it brown a little bit so that the toasty flavor of the butter comes through, and it's going to just smell amazing. Right, so let's go ahead and add some butter. So I've added about 2 tablespoons of butter, and then I'm going to add an additional 1 teaspoon of olive oil. And now we're going to just wait for that butter to melt and get a little bit of brown color, develop a brown color. So this one will make use for about a pound of the ravioli. So I'm making 2 8-ounce packets today. So it's a pound of butternut squash ravioli. So even though it looks rich, it's not. It's just barely going to coat the raviolis. And this step again is so quick because the olive oil was already hot, so the butter melted very quickly. So again, like I said, seriously, if you use fresh ravioli that's in the refrigerated section, this dish comes together in 15 minutes or less. If you're using dried ravioli or any kind of filled pasta, and if it's dry, it might take a little bit longer, but still the dish will take no more than 30 minutes to make. And you can have with a nice chilled glass of wine. I mean, this is like the best dinner on a weeknight, weekend, special dinner, anytime. This is like just really delicious. That butter is nice and bubbly, and we're gonna cook it until you start seeing it get a little bit of brown. Like it will develop a little bit brown curds on the bottom. You'll see the brown bits, and then it's done. Okay, so while our butter was browning, let's check on the ravioli, and they look like they're almost done. Okay, our ravioli is cooked. I may have used a little bit too small of a pot. I'm not used to making 2 packages, but that's okay. It still worked. And now let's check our sauce, and that butter is looking incredible. So it's the butter, olive oil, and remember we fried the sage and the garlic chips in it. So we're gonna go ahead and take the ravioli and just put it in this delicious butter bath. And it will still cook a little bit because we're going to add a little bit of pasta water. Pasta water is like gold, so it has so much flavor in it, and it adds that body to pasta, the sauce. It makes it nice and silky. So I'm gonna drain the pasta water, and then whatever's remaining on the bottom I'm gonna add to my sauce. So I'm gonna go ahead and add about 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of pasta water. Not too much, just enough so that it forms that really nice silky sauce. And then I'm going to season it now with it. All it needs is some salt, pepper, and just a little bit of red chili flakes for some heat. You can skip the red chili flakes if you don't want it's spicy. Now all I'm gonna do is kind of stir the raviolis around a little bit in the sauce, and my goal is to thicken the sauce so it will thicken when the starchy pasta water kind of mixes with the butter sauce. So we're gonna let this cook for a little bit more. And while my sauce is thickening, I'm also going to add the fried sage leaves and some of those garlic slices that I have browned so that the whole thing gets infused with all that flavor. And our butternut ravioli is done, and I've plated this. I've sprinkled some Parmesan cheese. I've sprinkled also some pumpkin seeds I had. Totally optional, but it just adds that little crunch and flavor. And then I've also added the fried sage leaves and those garlic slices that we browned. And trust me when I say this is one of the best tasting pasta dish you'll ever have. It's vegetarian, but you will not miss any meat or any other flavor. It's just so flavorful and delicious. So I hope you make this dish. Please don't forget to share and subscribe my channel, and enjoy cooking this dish.